So let's understand this from an example. So let's pick one company in India that you and I both are thinking about, but we will not name it. We will call it Lord Voldemort startup, because if I name them, this video might get blocked, I might get sued, so I don't want to get into all that trouble. So let's call it Lord Voldemort startup. So few days back, I wrote a post on LinkedIn which went viral. So it had close to 1 million views and there was a lot of commentary around it. So I'm putting that LinkedIn post here for you to view. So you will be able to see that on the screen. And on this video, I'm going to systematically take you through my logic of what I feel is wrong with the Indian education system. This is something that I'm sure that you would be able to relate to. The worrisome fact and the reason which made me shoot this video is that I genuinely feel that there are systemic issues in the Indian education system and there has to be some solutions around it. So on this video, I'm going to take you through 3 specific key problems that I'm seeing and what could be some of the potential solutions. So first and foremost, I feel that there is a systemic issue with our education system. For example, there is a commission called as UPSC, which is a constitutional body. It designs an exam called as Union Public Service Commission, through which major bureaucrats in India are selected and celebrated. Now, you and I as taxpayers, we actually help build these type of organizations, these type of systems and commissions. And these systems and commissions are responsible for designing an exam like UPSC. Now, you might ask that, hey Akshat, why are you criticizing the UPSC exam? So the answer is very, very simple. UPSC is like a chakravyuh, right? So you can get into it, but you can't get out of it very easily. Very similar to how Abhimanyu entered the chakravyuh and he was not able to come out. Similarly, lakhs and lakhs of aspirants every year enter the chakravyuh called as UPSC exam and their dreams get killed in that chakravyuh. Now this is a very worrisome trend if you do a simple analysis. Every year, approximately 4.5-5 lakh students prepare for the exam, take the exam, and hardly 1500 students get through the UPSC exam. What happens to that remaining 99.9% students? Now, unfortunately, for those 99.9% students, their life somewhat stops because they have taken a major break from work. The corporate culture in India is not that forgiving for students who take a break from their life to pursue an exam like UPSC. You would always have to justify why you have taken a 2-year, 3-year break, which is very normal thing to do for a UPSC aspirant. Now, if you look past the celebrity culture that is created around UPSC and do a rational cost benefit analysis, you will figure out that on one hand, if you keep 99.99% students who fail in this exam and look at the aggregate loss that they have suffered in their life, and then you compare it to 0.1% people who succeed in this exam and the total benefit that they bring to the society, I'm 100% certain that the net result would be negative. And the fact that this exam has been funded with public money because you have UPSC Commission which is responsible for designing such an exam, it is something to be looked at because there are lakhs and lakhs of students every year who study in a cramped room for years just to pass this exam and they are not able to do it, and that ends up making them waste some very productive years of their life on a trot, right? So that's the major problem that I feel is with the UPSC exam. Now, one very good counter question that I would get here is very simple that, hey Akshat, you know what? CAs also prepare for exams and they are not able to clear it. Similarly, a lot of people prepare for IIT and medical exams. They are also not able to clear it. So why are you specifically criticizing the UPSC exam? So here is a major difference. For example, if you're preparing for an IIT exam and if you're not able to clear the IIT exam, you end up going to a tier 2, tier 3 university. Your life does not stop. For example, if you're preparing for the CA exam, then parallelly you can pursue a degree. You can pursue an open degree or you can actually prepare for the CA exam right in your undergrad itself. So it's not something that you dedicatedly need to spend your time on. But UPSC on the other hand, your life stops. You're preparing for the UPSC exam in your prime age, taking a major pause in your career. And it is actually an aberration or an anomaly if someone clears UPSC in their first go itself. The system or the exam is designed in such a manner that you have to at least take 2 attempts. So literally everyone who is taking the UPSC exam is wasting at least 1 year of their life in their prime. This is an extremely worrisome factor and I am not sure why the government is not looking into it and redesigning the entire exam entirely. This brings me to point number 2, and you will say that, hey, where there are problems, there are solutions. So startups, for example, would solve a lot of issues that are there in the Indian education ecosystem. Now, this is where you can go wrong in terms of having this thought. Now, you might say that Indian startups in the education space, they have gained $1 billion of valuations and they are creating so much impact in the society and they are bringing a revolution. But you really need to ask yourself that are they truly bringing a revolution? Now you can ascertain this by asking yourself two simple questions. Number one, you can ask a simple question that how are they exactly improving the Indian education system? So let's understand this from an example. So let's pick one company in India that you and I both are thinking about, but we will not name it. We will call it Lord Voldemort startup, because if I name them, this video might get blocked, I might get sued, so I don't want to get into all that trouble. So let's call it Lord Voldemort startup. So let's compare Lord Voldemort startup with Khan Academy, right? Very, very simple logic here. So you tell me that, Salman Khan, who is not the celebrity one, but the one who educates the world. So Salman Khan runs a company called as Khan Academy. He gives out a lot of courses for free. And Salman Khan in most of the occasions is the one teaching those courses. Now you tell me that Salman Khan has graduated from MIT and Harvard. He's a wonderful teacher. He has such a good reputation. He explains the concepts wonderfully well. He was the one who actually revolutionized the concept of teaching online with simple, bold, soothing voice, and he was explaining concepts so beautifully well. So that was a revolution. Now I would encourage you to comment on how exactly Lord Voldemort startup is changing the Indian education ecosystem. I would be very surprised if I hear some positive comments, but I genuinely don't think that there is anything that Lord Voldemort startup is doing which is actually creating a positive impact on the Indian education ecosystem. Now this brings me to the second question that you need to ask to ascertain the quality of impact that these edtech startups are creating in the Indian education space. The question is, and this is something that you might ask me, that hey Akshat, you know what? It's fine, these are your opinions that Khan Academy is better than Lord Voldemort startup. But then why is it that these startups are getting billion-dollar valuations? There must be something right that they are doing in the Indian education system and creating a value. And that is the reason why they are capturing the value. Now the answer to that is very simple, that investors are looking for return on investment. That is what their primary goal is. In the process, if they are able to create a revolution, great. But their first priority is creating a lot of impact. So let's try to understand this point slightly more in an in-depth fashion. Now, essentially, when an entrepreneur starts his or her venture, what happens is that there is always a requirement for money. There are predominantly two ways in which an entrepreneur can raise money. One is called as equity financing and the other is called as debt financing. Debt financing literally means that the entrepreneur is taking loans and in the process, he or she is not selling their company or any part of the company. So very simple, that I go to a bank. If I'm an entrepreneur, I ask for a loan, I get a loan and I put that into my startup and keep growing my company. So that is debt financing. Now here, the entrepreneur has complete control over their venture. On the flip side, if you go for equity financing, now depending on how much equity you have given up, you are selling a part of your company to someone else. Now, of course, you get some money in return, but at the same time, an entrepreneur loses his or her freedom in terms of how that person wants to run the show. Now, investors love to play the customer acquisition and valuations game. So sometimes a lot of pressure is built on startups to go and acquire a lot of customers in the market. Now, in this entire mad race, systems and processes are built where the entire goal of the education startup becomes to just acquire customer by whatever methods. Now, I can actually back this up by facts. So if you look at Lord Voldemort startup, now I will not be able to put some numbers here because again, this might become a copyright infringement, etc. So I don't want to get into legalities of it, but you would know and you would be able to verify it if you do a little bit of Googling that in Lord Voldemort's edtech startup, what has ended up happening is now if they're recruiting 100 people, then 80 people are recruited purely from a sales perspective. So now you can imagine that the money is actually being spent on just sales. It's not going in product development, creating some improvement in terms of hiring better teachers. It is purely going in sales. So what is the objective of the organization? The objective of that edtech company becomes just to go hire a massive sales force, build a massive sales engine and keep acquiring more and more and more customers to justify the investment that has been made by different VCs. Now there is a very specific tactic that is being used in the edtech space to build this sales engine and grow their sales. This technique is called as FOMO, which is fear of missing out. So in India, we have something called as Sharma ji ke bete ka phobia, right? So what that essentially means is that your parents would always compare your performance to your neighbor's son's performance or daughter's performance, right? So that can lead to an unnecessary FOMO, and that is how our mentality is built up. Now, investors and big unicorns understand this intentively, and they are trying to build systems and processes around it. Now, let me give you a couple of examples here. So the first example is that a lot of these unicorns are getting into the business of producing TV shows and creating YouTube series. Now, is there anything wrong? I don't know. But they are trying to create an aspirational brand around the exam. So for example, when someone talks about that, hey, UPSC exam is the best exam out there, day in the life of a UPSC aspirant, day in the life of a UPSC officer. Now they are just trying to create an aspiration out of it. Now, for example, if you juxtapose this and create this celebrity culture across any field, be it an engineer, be it like a CA, be it a doctor. Now, if you as a class 12 student start seeing these type of posts on your social media every day that, hey, this is the life of an IS officer, this is how it is like that, I can become Singham, I can slap people on the road, etc., etc. It just makes you really motivated and fascinated towards this exam. Now, if companies decide to switch this and they try to build this celebrity culture in any field, they can do that as well. For example, they can pour in insane amount of money in portraying engineers as demigods. Similarly, they can pour in a lot of monies in terms of portraying CAs or doctors as demigods. So this kind of culture can be built around any of the professions. It is just that because you are reading so much about UPSC, IAS, etc., you just assume that, hey, this is the best career path out there. I'm not criticizing them. This is a wonderful career path. I have a lot of respect. But the point is that creating a celebrity culture around it is completely wrong and it is not justified from that perspective. And the reason why it is being done is because this is a lucrative coaching market. Now, if companies are able to build an aspiration or create a FOMO around becoming an IAS officer or IFS officer or IPS officer, then they know that they will be able to sell their product to lakhs and lakhs of aspirants every year and continue to maintain their unicorn status. Now, just to wrap up this second point, I also want to establish the fact that majority of these unicorns have a systemic partnership with schools, colleges, etc. And there is, of course, like in the sales engine, it is designed in such a way that schools, colleges, etc., with whom these unicorns have tie-ups, they also start becoming rich because they will get access to their student database. This unicorn can go and market their products to these students. So in the process, the entire ecosystem makes money. This brings us to the third part of the video, that there are, of course, a lot of bright students and parents who are very focused, who want their kids not to get into this rat race. And they try to figure out systems and processes which they can explore, which would prevent their kids from getting into this mad race. So that system is called as homeschooling, in my opinion. But unfortunately, the scenario of homeschooling in India too is really, really bad. So let me explain that via the story of Malvika Raj. So Malvika Raj in 2017 got into MIT, which is one of the top universities across the world. However, since she did not have certifications from class 10th and 12th, she could not get an admit from IIT. So a person who is brilliant, who has cleared several Olympiads, who has performed well at an international level, just because she does not have class 10th and 12th certificates, she has been denied seats by one of the leading institutes in India, but has been offered a spot by leading programs or universities in the world. Now, if we take the viewpoint of Madhavan Mukund, who is the national coordinator of Indian Computing Olympiad, he says, and I paraphrase, that Malvika is not a product of the system, but despite it. Now, this is a very, very powerful statement that summarizes whatever I have been trying to say. So just to conclude on Malvika's story, she was homeschooled. Her mother chose to homeschool her, but she had a lot of issues in terms of gaining acceptances to colleges and universities in India. But outside India, she had an easier time. But now you might say that, hey Akshat, you know what, this is just one-off case and this is for exceptionally bright students. But homeschooling does not work because it creates issues like that your kid is not socially affable. There are a lot of other fundamental issues that you would not know how to build friendships, so on and so forth, right? So these are systemic problems that is there in the homeschooling system. Now, I feel that is a very illogical argument. You might have heard that, there are sports organizations. For example, Pulela Gopichand runs an academy in Hyderabad and you can put your kid there. Your kid goes there at 5 a.m. in the morning, come out at 7 or 8. Do you think that your kid is not going to spend time with people or building friendships? They would. Similarly, you can make your kid join a language class. Similarly, you can put your kid in an arts and craft class. There are so many groups, so many forums where you can put your kid that can help him or her develop those social skills that you're talking would not be developed through a homeschooling system. So I really hope that the homeschooling system in India does pick up, because it can be a systemic answer where parents start thinking independently, where students get the ability to think independently, and they can escape from the hooks of Lord Voldemort education startups and end up preparing illogically for exams like UPSC. There is a systemic rot in the Indian education system. Due to the systems and processes that we have built, the type of celebrity culture that we endorse and aspire to become, it is actually creating an ecosystem for our kids and future generations to come that will keep on creating a negative impact on our society. This brings me to the final part of the video where I will discuss some of the solutions that I feel are very important and necessary to somewhat mitigate this problem. So solution number one is that we should stop with the celebrity culture. Now, just because some romantic hero is constantly coming on TV and educating you on how that particular product from an edtech startup has changed his kid's life, it is just stupid. We all know it and it's not right? First and foremost, stop worshipping celebrities. It's just not worth it. Almost 95% of the products that they sell you, they themselves do not use it. So please do not believe in that narrative. It is just wrong. I don't know how this is still legal in this world. So that's point one. Point two, do your bit in terms of creating acceptance for alternate systems. For example, I don't know if we have a homeschooling association in India, but if there is one, then support it. Make sure that you fill out the petition. Ask homeschooling forum or homeschooling community to write to the government to create systems and processes for them, where petitions can be filed from this particular association to the government, asking for structures and systems that can be put in place, which will give legitimacy to homeschooling systems in India. Third, and most importantly, is that we should teach our kids life skills. And if you're still young, then you should learn life skills. So life skills literally means that you should pick up a hobby or an activity which can allow you to make money. For example, it could be as simple as freelancing, which is wonderful. It gives you that confidence that, hey, you know what, if I'm preparing for UPSC and if I fail, I have a backup career path. I know how to trade, or I know how to design a website. I know how to write well. I can do copywriting. I can write essays. Whatever it is, build some kind of life skill or money making skill that gives you the confidence and the hope, and it allows you to escape the despair that comes with failing in this systematically designed education system, which is vouching for you to fail. So I hope you found this video to be useful and insightful. If you did, please share it with your friends. I thought this was a very honest and important video to make. Do share it with your friends. Like this video, comment on it. That will help with the YouTube algorithm, and I will see you on the next video.